Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, organics of all ages, I'm Double R, and today we're going to talk about why I called Devil, and by the end of this, Asalieri, disingenuous stickweeds. So to get there, we need to go over the basics. Debate and argument styles. Typically, there are three kinds of versus situations that you run into. Fact versus fact, feel versus feel, and of course, the one I personally hate, fact versus feel. This last one is a major issue because when people argue facts, they get to the point and they stay on it. But when people argue feels, well...
This is how they argue as far as I can tell. All right? If they're right, they argue the point. And they stay on point and make sure you stay on point until you're down on your knees, apologizing, begging for forgiveness. All right? No problem with that. Totally respect it. But here's the thing. If they're wrong, they go rogue. They go off-road. They start thinking of shit you're sensitive about, maybe you don't get along with your dad, and in their head, they just start concocting this evil statement. Totally designed, this desperate Hail Mary attempt to make you so fucking mad, you just call them a cunt. That's what it is. And cunt trumps all the bullshit they did to start the argument. Now it's not about that. Well, that's no reason to call me a cunt. And then that's it. You're in this room now, right?
That. Yes, I know, it's a Bill Burr joke, but it really summarizes the arguments. The problem with feels is, in so many words, that you become disingenuous. You want to win at all costs. You're not going to take a knee and go, okay, I was wrong. You're not going to do that. You're going to spin things. You're going to go all post-truth. Or you're going to spin the my truth thing. You're going to say things like, morally this, morally that. You've seen this with Satanic Panic, where they bring up rock and roll, it's evil. You should have the moral obligation to avoid it, because after all, what it's going to tell you is to kill your parents. Well, not really kill your parents, but to kill your parents.
But remember, he's just putting this stuff out there. It's really innocent, really.
Now, I'm not saying that if you listen to heavy metal music, the devil will make you kill your mom.
Yeah, you are. Or at the least you want your viewers to think that.
He blames Satan for pushing people away from God, but docs like this push more people away from Christianity than Satan does.
I think he has a reply to my criticisms, though.
Now, some would say, so what? It's all just in fun. Nobody is supposed to take the message seriously. Well, that sentiment completely ignores both the nature of man and the power of music.
Take some freaking responsibility and go see a therapist.
You can't get into the whole rock causes murder angle without also getting into rock causes suicide.
Again, religion's caused the same thing, and I don't hate religion.
He blames Metallica's Fade to Black for being a huge contributor to suicide.
The song is about depression and suicide, which actually caused people to write to the band and express how the song really helped them.
You should have the moral obligation to not watch Smurfs. Because after all, when you die, parts of you turn blue. And Smurfs just so happen to be blue. So you really shouldn't be watching that cartoon. It's occultish. Just like He-Man, that's occultish. Some guy getting all the power of the universe, and he and his friends are called masters of the universe? Well, shit, isn't that what God's supposed to be? No, seriously, these are arguments they brought up in the Satanic Panic. Hell, the Satanic Panic was so influential in their whole campaign against Dungeons and Dragons that there was a movie called Mazes and Monsters, where they even got Tom Hanks to be the character. Long story short, that version of the movie pretty much said the person was unable to tell fiction from reality in such a way that they believed they were the character they literally created. Now, having pointed that out, and pointing out the major issue with facts versus feels is one side will state fact and the other side will only speak upon their feelings. This is where the debate bros flourished. What they did was they hopped online and they would say some inflammatory shit, knowing that it would trigger somebody in the emotional section to go after them. And when they did, the debate bros went, hold on, wait a minute. We're not going to talk about this here. Parentheses, where it's a fair fight, where it's an open land of ideas and people can jump in either way. No, we're not going to argue here. If you really felt this way about it, if you really feel you want to argue with me about this, if you want to bring a debate, then come to my channel and we'll debate there on a live stream. Now, this is insidious on many counts, because what the debate bro is expecting is that people are more intimidated in front of an audience. So they're not going to be ready. They're not going to do their homework. They're not going to find out that this person has a fucking panel. So when they show up by themselves to do the debate, lo and behold, they have a panel of people, they have the person they're trying to debate, and they have the subscribers and audience members against them. What a lovely struggle session that happened to be, huh, folks? And that's what happens to them, because they are more antisocial, they're not prepared for it. The debate bros can bait them in with their feels and then crush them with feels. Not facts, feels. I bring this up because you notice what I'm stating. The feels. They're the side that becomes disingenuous. They're the side that tries to bend and manipulate things. They're the side that's post-truth, my truth, yada yada, blah blah blah. I'll give you a perfect example. In the definitions video, I brought this up plainly. Devil and Asalieri. Many antis will say the same thing about the term pedophilia. They will use the definition and then emphasize a technicality. The technicality, simply put, is the definition doesn't state specifically that it's about real children or fake children. So, because it's not stated specifically for that, it covers everybody. Here's where they become a hypocrite. Any other term, any other wording where you apply that technicality to, they ignore it. I'll give you another example. I brought up Devil's little lolicon can't be considered video game. Video games causing violence can't be the same thing as lolicons. It's not the same thing. It's not even on the same page. It can't even be remotely addressed because it's two different things. How? Well, the lolicon shit goes with sexual fantasy, and video games are power fantasy. They're both dealing with fantasy. Nice try. Next. Well, to be a school shooter, you have to actually do school shootings. Nice try. The argument for this situation here is from usually Jack Thompson and Republicans. Their argument typically states, if you are playing a violent video game, you are being trained to be a shooter. It just so happens that it goes into school shooting. We could stop the school shooters if we stop games like Doom. Doom doesn't have you going to a school, but that's the typical argument that is actually used about the whole school shooting thing. Is to get rid of the guns, so violent video games causes people to be trained in violence. Ergo, they go and do violent acts. And school shootings just happens to be a violent act. Devil is trying to take advantage of this with the technicality. To be a school shooter, you have to go and shoot up a school. Well, there, Chuckles, I'm going to strip your technicality because I'm going to apply your technicality to you. You play any game where you drop the hit points or life points or whatever version of health to 0 of an enemy target that is depicted as a human being, that makes you a killer. I don't care if you use a sword, a knife, a gun, a fireball, a fucking spell. I don't care. By your technical logic on the word pedophilia, since the word murder and murderer does not specify directly fictional person or real person, by your technicalities alone, you have admitted that people who play video games are murderers. Good going. A+ gold fucking star. What a waste of fucking time this is. But if you watch his video, he tries to avoid that. No. Yes. Sorry. Just because you don't apply your technicality to other words doesn't mean it is not being applied to other words. But that is not why I called him a disingenuous dickweed.
But wait, there's more!
No! I called him that because of this.
There are real children being hurt, and you're complaining about fictional characters. This is genuinely the shittiest argument that I've ever seen in defense of Lolly. First of all, that's completely irrelevant to the issue, since you could literally make that argument about anything. This reminds me of when my mom would say there are children dying of hunger, and I'm here complaining about having fucking Brussels sprouts. It's like, yeah, sure, but that's not the point. I'm having trouble understanding what the people who make this point want me to do. Do you want me to form a fucking posse and knock on every single person's door asking if they're harboring a child trafficking ring? I obviously can't do that, so I'm focusing on the people who are readily available on the internet. And those people are you fucking lolicon cucks.
Now, the first part, from here,
there are real children being hurt, and you're complaining about fictional characters. This is genuinely the shittiest argument that I've ever seen in defense of Lolly. First of all, that's completely irrelevant to the issue, since you could literally make that argument about anything. This reminds me of when my mom would say there are children dying of hunger, and I'm here complaining about having fucking Brussels sprouts. It's like, yeah, sure, but that's not the point.
To here. That's fine. That's good. If only he stuck with that, then he wouldn't be, well, he still would be, but I wouldn't have called him a disingenuous dickweed. What I called him the disingenuous dickweed for is this.
I'm having trouble understanding what the people who make this point want me to do. Do you want me to form a fucking posse and knock on every single person's door asking if they're harboring a child trafficking ring? I obviously can't do that, so I'm focusing on the people who are readily available on the internet. And those people are you fucking lolicon cucks.
Now, I want you to notice something. When I did it on my video for definitions, I brought up a shoe on head clip, and I brought up something from Twitter, a screenshot. These two did not go out and get a posse to deal with pedophilia. No. Hell, most of the stuff on June's whole playlist about pedophiles, she didn't go out and get a posse for. And yet, Devil said that wholeheartedly because he's expecting anybody watching the video to go, well, I guess that makes sense. It doesn't, but whatever. Because if that's the case, they're just as readily available as the Lottie and Shota shit. They're just as ready as those people. The only difference is, one actually has real world implications, the other is about fictional shit, so, can't stand behind convictions. And I state this because at no point did he stress that he finds it wrong. He didn't address the point. He made an excuse on why he can't do it. An excuse. He didn't even remotely put a disclaimer up there. Now, you can imply a disclaimer, but we're not going to do that because they don't do that. Any person they argue with or disagree with, they take their argument at face value. So that is what we're going to do. I know, it sucks, since their whole side is based on implications of action. Now, we move to Asa. Asalieri. This is the meme of the hour. This is the meme where he gets weird.
Somewhere during the argument with this demented school teacher, some guy decided to post this meme here, which I will censor, just to simply avoid the bad faith arguments these nutcases tend to make, in order to shield themselves from the criticisms they so obviously deserve, and also with the purpose of deflecting their vouchophilia right back onto the people who happen to criticize their choice of art. But reposting it, I got hundreds of comments with the same cookie-cutter argument. If you think we're vouchophiles, why are you giving us a pic of a real actual kid? That makes you the vouchophile. Many things are wrong with this hilarious statement, not the least of which is, hang on, did you just say I'm 100% correct in my assessment? Because you yourself are directly admitting to being a vouchophile by saying that I'm giving this meme to someone I presume to be a vouchophile. Second, I merely reposted that meme on my Twitter feed. You came to me. I didn't call you, nor did I promise CP in my post. So it's a stretch to say I'm giving it to anyone suspected of vouchophilia. Unless you're going to try to make the claim that my Twitter is now a confirmed porn site, that's a dumb thing to say. Third, this is a picture of a fully clothed kid. I'm not using this pic for any financial gain or nefarious purposes with the intent to hurt the stock photo kid. I've not endangered the stock photo kid's life. I've broken no laws by reposting a meme I found somewhere else. Now, they don't know if this stock photo is already grown up, where the stock photo lives, who the stock photo is, what the stock photo's name is, or any of that. Nor do they care what happens to this picture of a fully clothed stock photo, and therefore, even by their standards, no harm is coming to the stock photo. Hell, they don't know even for sure whether this is simply just a really well computer rendering of a human being. So, when they're virtue signaling about how much they care about the stock photo's rights, they don't. They have no problem using that same stock photo as a shield to deflect criticism. They are very much happy to use that stock photo and grandstand morally on top of it. But you can't use it to criticize them. Oh, no, you can't. To them, this stock photo represents a last-ditch attempt to flip the focus of the rage from themselves onto their critics, so they can keep on pretending that what they're doing is totally okay and not the reprehensible and disgusting thing it actually is. So they'll loudly pretend to care about the rights of the stock photo while claiming that using it is a violation of the law in some way. This is the twilight zone of mental gymnastics Lolicon supporters come from. Oh, and lollies, don't you know the difference between reality and fiction? This cartoon drawing isn't really hurting that stock photo picture. Your argument amounts to, you drew a dick on this billboard, now Daniel-san is gonna get herpes. It appears that you yourselves aren't aware of what is reality and what is fiction. And the reality is that you jack it to little anime girls.
Before we get here, though, I'm going to stress in his own video, before we got here, he mentioned Rule 34. He put out there that parents are too stupid to actually read synopses of stories. They would just look up pictures and assume from the first one that's bad. He's also stated a would-be what-if tale on how lolly show shit can hurt people. Long story short, this applies to almost anything created. Oh no, someone made a movie, and someone shot themselves in the movie. Now the artist who made the movie, the writer, he feels bad, so he offs himself too. It can be said about anything like that. But hey, we are arguing via feels. You're trying to elicit emotion and an emotional response from other people. So yes, tell your fake ass what a story. But this does show you know what the definition of if is. I bring this up because later, after telling said story, he brings up a statement from a lolicon. I'm assuming it's lolicon, maybe it's a shotacon, who knows. But I'm bringing up that he said, here's this.
If you think we're vouchophiles, why are you giving us a pic of a real actual kid? That makes you the vouchophile. Many things are wrong with this hilarious statement, not the least of which is, hang on, did you just say I'm 100% correct in my assessment? Because you yourself are directly admitting to being a vouchophile by saying that I'm giving this meme to someone I presume to be a vouchophile.
He doesn't even know what the definition of if is all of a sudden, even though he told a what if story.
Well, consider first the intention of the creator or creators of that character. When you take what is supposed to be a run-of-the-mill child character in a show that has nothing to do with sex, and then you suddenly hypersexualize that character, are you not destroying the integrity of the product and therefore hurting the people who lovingly created that character? What if, say, a parent that would have normally, under any other circumstances, bought, say, a Pokemon lunchbox of Misty for their kid who loves Pokemon, right? And they first ran into your disgusting Rule 34 pic of her. Now, do you think that would forever be a lost customer for the creator? Yes, it would. My disabled child loves My Little Pony, and she now knows where to search for her favorite characters. Do you think any parent would want their kids accidentally finding Rule 34 of their favorite characters? Do you think any parent that is first experiencing a popular show through your Rule 34 art will still want their kids consuming the product your Rule 34 art is based on? No! How about an artist starting out, right? Say they suddenly hit it viral with some innocent child character they created that is based, say, on their childhood experiences, and people start to love and empathize with the story they're telling. Then bam! Along comes a lolicon and suddenly starts distributing nasty Rule 34 of their underage character, and the artist becomes so depressed by this fact that the disgusting Rule 34 is overshadowing their character and their story, and then they suddenly commit suicide as a result. You never think of that, do you, lolicons? Lolicon art can potentially hurt parents, hurt artists, and hurt children. And worse, it normalizes the idea that it's okay to jack it to the concept of prepubescent
Bad things.
He suddenly forgot what it meant, what the word if meant. That was a major strike by itself. Now, here's the kicker. He didn't address the point at all. Just like Devil, not addressing the other side of the point, Asa didn't address the point at all. He tries to double down on this. I meant nothing malicious to the stock photo image. No, seriously. The meme is malicious not to the stock photo image, but to the group of people. The one you got the ire of that had you arguing for 24 hours straight. Allegedly. Now I know it's probably hyperbole that he was using, but whatever. My point is, when a soldier throws an active grenade out there, he's not saying, oh, I didn't mean to blow up the ground. No, you meant to blow up the people. That's pretty much what Asa pulled. Oh, it's not malicious toward the stock photo image. That wasn't the target. But the reason why he's focusing on that being the target is because of the reference made in the discussion point prior. But Double R, you said he didn't even address it. He didn't. His entire debate goes into defending the stock photo image. He focuses on that. And then he thinks he's slick and uses the lolicon Shotokan logic, quote, against them, unquote. If I do this to a picture, according to your logic, it shouldn't matter. It doesn't. You've proven them right. Why are you here? No, seriously, why are you here? You see what happened there, folks? He thought he was being slick. He thought he was being smart. I could use their logic against him and I could win his argument. He. No, your argument proved them right. It doesn't matter what you do to the image because it doesn't fucking matter. At all. Now, I do find this kind of funny. Devil did not even address that meme. He slipped that shit. On the flip side, Asa doesn't address the thing that Devil brought up. Yes, they do address similar things in the video, but in those two specific cases, they slipped past each other and went, nope, I'm not touching that. It's almost like they knew that it could cause them a problem, so they dodged it entirely. Asa didn't know how to address the point from Devil. Devil didn't know how to address the meme. So they each tried it their own way, and well, here we are. I can see why they avoided it. It's an obvious disingenuous dickweed moment. Anybody who saw that from either of them went, and just like that, you lost any credibility. And that's the problem with facts versus feels. Once your feelings get drawn into the argument, once you argue from that point of view, from that perspective, then you become disingenuous, manipulative, all those other fancy words, the post-truth thing. Because you're banking, you're hoping that you can draw them into the emotional state that you're in so they feel it's wrong. Which again goes back to Devil's whole, you should have the moral obligation. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's moral. Things like that.
When it comes to gore or splatter or any other particular genres, the justification lies in our Constitution. I don't feel anybody has the right to tell me what I can or cannot watch.
I think we all know who's to blame here.
Most of these films receive R ratings, which mean that children under 17 cannot view the film or rent the video without the accompaniment of an adult. Yet this precaution is seldom enforced.
And because they're not enforced, that is somehow the movie and rating system's fault.
Well, my other video, morality, ethically, legality. You want to know why people are emphasizing if it's legal? Because that is the ethics of the group as a whole. Society as a whole. They ethically say, these are the hard lines we will not cross. If you're having it as a personal moral issue, well, most of Twitter finds it that way, and most of Twitter leans left. Kind of hard to agree with them when they have people running around showing their junk off to kids in real life. Not all, but there's been enough people to where it's noticeable. This is a problem. But no, let's not worry about that. Let's worry about cartoons. But Double R, you have a whole playlist arguing about their arguments. Yes, because their arguments are stupid and they should know better. Seriously. To be a couple of religious people, this whole judge lest thee be judged, apparently they want to be judged. Okay then. I don't recall either of you being Saint fucking Peter. But that's kind of the point. Nevertheless, just want to put this out here before I get into the first of the videos, and then we're going to steamroll into putting things together since they've already fucked up my premise. Nevertheless, we're still going to go ahead and do the initial plan. We're going to have the anti-side with shared points bring up those points, and then if there's something from the pro side that states against it, we put that after, and then I put my 2 cents after that. which means those videos are going to be a little bit longer, but that's why I have all this fluff at the beginning. And then when I'm done with those, I'll put the 4 videos officially at the bottom. Now, before I head out, I'm going to go ahead and close it off with this. Since only Asalieri managed to say something at the 16-minute mark out of his 18-minute video. I'll say it here now to show why you actually start with stuff like this as opposed to ending with stuff like this. And I'll actually add it to the wording in the playlist. Please do not harass other people. Please do not seek out to harass any of these 4 people that will be brought up. Please leave them be. If you get into an argument with them, that's on your own accord. Please do not dox them. Please take context into effect. Yada yada, blah blah blah. You get the point. Leave them the fuck alone. Don't harass them. Period. You get the point. Oddly, Asa says it's at about the 16-minute mark on his video, after he's riled up his audience to go attack them. And Devil just riles up his audience because, you know, that's the play of the Satanic Panic. Play with your emotions, manipulate you into agreeing with them, and then they'll leave you to do whatever. But hey, he didn't say to do it explicitly. Unlike Asa, where he's emphasizing that it should happen. Yeah. Don't do that, folks. Seriously, don't harass either of them. Because even if my memory isn't perfect, that's why I'm going to have the videos added to the playlist so you can get full context, even if I miss the context. This way you can come back and be like, no, he actually said this and he meant this as its own thing, not that. I think you misread it. You know what? That's cool. That's why I'm going to be adding all that stuff when I'm done with the whole series. This way you have full context across the board. All right? Cool. So until then, later.